It is beyond a doubt that all our knowledge that begins with experience. All our knowledge begins with the senses, proceeds then to the understanding, and ends with reason. There is nothing higher than reason. Our age is the age of criticism, to which everything must submit. Religion through its holiness and legislation through its majesty commonly seek to exempt themselves from it. I had to deny knowledge in order to make room for faith. Thoughts without content are empty, intuitions without concepts are blind. Two things fill the mind with ever new and increasing wonder and awe: the starry heavens above me, and the moral law within me. Morality is not properly the doctrine of how we may make ourselves happy, but how we may make ourselves worthy of happiness. Live your life as though your every act were to become a universal law. So act that your principle of action might safely be made a law for the whole world. Have patience a while, slanders are not long-lived. Truth is the child of time, ere long she shall appear to vindicate thee. Man must be disciplined, for he is by nature raw and wild. The categorical imperative would be that which represented an action as objectively necessary of itself, without reference to another end. The death of dogma is the birth of morality. Nothing is divine but what is agreeable to reason. All the interests of my reason, speculative as well as practical, combine in the three following questions. 1. What can I know? 2. What ought I to do? 3. What may I hope? The only objects of practical reason are therefore those of good and evil. Happiness is not an ideal of reason, but of imagination. Experience without theory is blind, but theory without experience is mere intellectual play. Morality is not the doctrine of how we may make ourselves happy, but how we may make ourselves worthy of happiness. Act in such a way that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, never merely as a means to an end, but always at the same time as an end. In law, a man is guilty when he violates the rights of others. In ethics, he is guilty if he only thinks of doing so. Beneficence is a duty, and he who frequently practices it, and sees his benevolent intentions realized comes, at length, really to love him to whom he has done good. He who is cruel to animals becomes hard also in his dealings with men. We can judge the heart of a man by his treatment of animals. Enlightenment is man's release from his self-incurred tutelage. Tutelage is man's inability to make use of his understanding without direction from another. Have courage to use your own reason. That is the motto of enlightenment. Nothing is required for this enlightenment, however, except freedom, and indeed the most harmless among all the things to which this term can properly be applied. We are not rich by what we possess but by what we can do without. Out of timber so crooked as that from which man is made nothing entirely straight can be carved. But only one who is himself enlightened, is not afraid of shadows, and has a numerous and well-disciplined army to assure public peace, can say, argue as much as you will, and about what you will, only obey. For peace to reign on earth, humans must evolve into new beings who have learned to see the whole first. An action, to have moral worth, must be done from duty. Religion is the recognition of all our duties as divine commands. All our knowledge begins with the senses, proceeds then to the understanding, and ends with reason. There is nothing higher than reason. If man makes himself a worm, he must not complain when he is trodden on. From such crooked wood as that which man is made of, nothing straight can be fashioned. By a lie a man throws away and as it were annihilates his dignity as a man. The busier we are, the more acutely we feel that we live, the more conscious we are of life. It is not God's will merely that we should be happy, but that we should make ourselves happy. Thrift is care and scruple in the spending of one's means. It is not a virtue and it requires neither skill nor talent. How then is perfection to be sought? Wherein lies our hope? In education, and in nothing else. But to unite in a permanent religious institution which is not to be subject to doubt before the public even in the lifetime of one man, and thereby to make a period of time fruitless in the progress of mankind toward improvement, thus working to the disadvantage of posterity, that is absolutely forbidden. For himself, and only for a short time, a man may postpone enlightenment in what he ought to know, but to renounce it for posterity is to injure and trample on the rights of mankind. Laziness and cowardice are the reasons why so great a portion of mankind, after nature has long since discharged them from external direction, naturaliter meerens, nevertheless remains under lifelong tutelage, and why it is so easy for others to set themselves up as their guardians. It is so easy not to be of age. If I have a book which understands for me, a pastor who has a conscience for me, a physician who decides my diet, and so forth, I need not trouble myself. I need not think, if I can only pay, others will easily undertake the irksome work for me. That the step to competence is held to be very dangerous by the far greater portion of mankind. Genius is the ability to independently arrive at and understand concepts that would normally have to be taught by another person. Two things fill the mind with ever new and increasing admiration and awe, the more often and steadily we reflect upon them, the starry heavens above me and the moral law within me. I do not seek or conjecture either of them as if they were veiled obscurities or extravagances beyond the horizon of my vision. I see them before me and connect them immediately with the consciousness of my existence. Whereas the beautiful is limited, the sublime is limitless, so that the mind in the presence of the sublime, attempting to imagine what it cannot, has pain in the failure but pleasure in contemplating the immensity of the attempt. He who is cruel to animals becomes hard also in his dealings with men. We can judge the heart of a man by his treatment of animals. Two things fill the mind with ever-increasing wonder and awe, the more often and the more intensely the mind of thought is drawn to them, the starry heavens above me and the moral law within me. Look closely. The beautiful may be small. Which quotation do you like the most? Don't forget to subscribe.